In this video, I interview fellow realtor from California, Arvin Haddad. Guys, I want to prepare you that I hammer on him pretty good about his own state of California as why so many people are leaving and their policies that prevent homeownership, how they have weaponized tenants against their landlords with tenant unions, and we also cover the increase in foreclosure rate in Q3 of 2023 nationwide, who are the highest states for foreclosure filings, and we both talk about what we expect to see in the housing market for the remaining of this year and 2024. Hope you enjoy the show. Arvin, thanks so much for joining me today, man, sharing the screen and coming all the way from California. Let everybody know who you are.
What's up, Todd? Guys, I'm Arvin Haddad. I'm a real estate agent in Los Angeles, based in Beverly Hills. I specialize in luxury. I'm also the founder of ZipSmart.ai. It's a real estate dashboard that helps people make smarter real estate decisions. And it's a pleasure to be with you. I've been following the channel for some time, so very excited to be part of it.
Arvin, you know, people say to me all the time, like, Todd, why don't you have people on that don't agree with you? So much is going on in the housing market, and you and I do see eye to eye on a lot of stuff. And it's just, it's kind of hard to have a conversation with somebody on the channel that you're going to completely disagree with because they're drinking the Kool-Aid, man. There are so many agents out there drinking the Kool-Aid. And guys, and I'm going to encourage you to go to Arvin's social media. We're going to post all of his links in the show notes here for you guys to check him out and follow him, because, what I like about you, Arvin, is that, you've been in the business long enough to know that you can see through this. You're data driven. Tell everybody what's happening in California.
Look, I think California is, we just had the unemployment data out, and in Los Angeles, for example, unemployment is up 5.8%. And if you look at the graph, we provide that at ZipSmart.ai per county basis, and it's just gone up, straight line, right? And we're still having real estate agents denying very basic facts that, look, these can affect home inventory on the market down the line, right? They keep saying the narrative is, oh, the inventory is low, the inventory is low. Yes, the demand is also equally low, right? But what could happen to the inventory level? It doesn't have to drop. It doesn't have to increase by 2x or historical normals. If it just even goes by 5-10%, because there is kind of a hollow demand underneath, not because people don't want to buy, it's because they can't even qualify. Sorry, my language, but they just can't, right? It's a fact, based on debt to income ratios, they're at 36%. You're not going to get a loan. So you have to purchase a much, much lower price point of a home, which most likely most families, the biggest demographic are families, and you're just not going to be able to convince your wife to buy a 2-bedroom house instead of a 4-bedroom house till the prices adjust. And I hear this narrative, Todd, that everyone talks about that historically the inventory is really low, and the golden handcuffs, right? That's a big one that people are not going to come out and list their homes on sale. You got to remember that golden handcuffs, that your mortgage rate is only 36%, right, of your household income. If they did their backward calculations right? You still have other expenses in your life. You have insurance, you have entertainment, you have travel, you have schools, right? People are putting their kids in schools and paying a ton of money for that stuff, and all those expenses go up, right? And God forbid, let's say you don't even lose your job, but your expenses go up. You're going to come to a point where you're going to run out of cash. And all the data from Bank of America, all the other sites are showing that, look, savings are coming lower, right? And credit card debt is going up. And that's without a recession, which is, to me, when people are cheerleading for this market, it's never a bad time to buy. Yes, real estate, we got to make money on it long term. And I think both of us, you 100% agree, we still would buy real estate. But look, if the writing is on the wall and you can not perfectly time the market, but, kind of time the cycle, right? Be patient a little bit, or get tomorrow's discount today, which is the big thing I tell my own clients in residential real estate. Is like, look, I'm not saying don't buy. Let's get a big discount. Let's get next year prices today. And hopefully if the market turns around, then we've got a great deal.
You talk about unemployment, and, first I want to say, if you can predict where the discount is to buy today. I don't even think that you can predict that. I mean, that's the problem. I'm saying to buyers, and look, it's counterintuitive to what we do. I mean, we don't make money unless we sell real estate. And people say, right. Todd, why are you telling people not to buy right now? What I really want to protect are the first-time buyers. I mean, if you've bought a home before, I could care less. If you make a mistake, I mean, shame on you. You should be a big boy and girl, and you should know what it's all about. I worry about the people that have fallen prey to the fear of missing out. Our, first-time home buyer, doesn't matter what age you are. I'm not just talking about the young people. You could be in your 40s or 50s and had never bought a house before and finally think that you're at a point to where you should. And I think that these are the most vulnerable people because I don't know what's going to happen. There's an ex-Fed, she worked at the Fed for 9 years, Danielle DiMartino Booth, getting ready to, have a podcast with her. I'm really excited about it. She wrote a book called Fed Up, and one of her prior podcasts not that long ago, she said that people need to plan for one of their spouses losing their job. And I think that what's happening is that the only thing that has kept this real estate market demand strong, and it's weak right now, but still, if you want to call it a strong demand, people say, well, there's a lot of ignorance going on, right? People want to comment things that they don't know what they're talking about. They're making no sense. And they're saying things like, well, people have the highest equity right now and that the job market is so strong. Do people realize that there are economists right now? There are people that are suggesting guaranteed job payments. There are people suggesting that employers should go with unionization of employees so that the government doesn't do it for them. Do people realize what's going on right now? The next wave here of artificial intelligence, or really anything that could attack our job market, will be devastating to our housing market. That's not a fear tactic. We need to open our eyes and realize that this is a possibility, right? So now what they're doing is trying to say, well, we should have a guaranteed job program. I guess basically where the government says, hey, look, we know we're on the hook for all these mortgages because we've been backing them. The larger majority of the mortgages that have been written since the great financial crisis. If we want to keep home ownership and we want to keep people from losing their houses, we're going to have to guarantee them a job. But Arvin, I want you to take a look at something, because today, or actually yesterday, on the 12th of October, Adam just came out with this U.S. foreclosure activity shows continued rise in third quarter, approaching levels seen before the pandemic. And if we just look at this, Arvin, I mean, California, LA, by the way, as we get further down, we're going to see that they're pretty high on the list here with foreclosure filings. But I mean, looking at this chart, number one, is it surprising to you? Number two, do you think that we're just starting this foreclosure ball rolling?
Look, I'm actually a little bit surprised. It seems like a steady trend, even though the number is not that big, right? Historically, it's very, very low, but it's a clear trend over 7 months I'm looking at. It's going to get worse, right? It's what I can tell you is that we've seen some of the worst real estate investors are real estate investors who are impatient. And the people who went in and paid over the odds for the houses in the last year, right, at the highest rate, right, without negotiating good, just doing it based on FOMO, are the people who exactly write those comments on the YouTube channels to make themselves feel better about it. You've been in this business for longer than ever, and I've been in this business for some time now. I can tell you, you got to be patient with real estate. You got to be patient to hold. You got to be patient to buy. You got to wait for your deals. I personally, for every house I've bought, I've put 10 offers out, 3 escrows, and I've bought 1 house over a year period for myself, right? It's my approach to buying. Very patient, very consistent, and just wait. I think what we've seen in the last year has been, first of all, a ton of people who were impatient, couldn't wait. The first chance that the competition dropped, they thought it's their golden opportunity to jump in. And these people are the most vulnerable to the foreclosures you're speaking about, Todd, because these people, when at the top of the market, paid the all-time high prices, right, with the highest rate possible, with putting maximum down on over leveraging themselves. So you're going to see foreclosures due to different areas. One is these people who overextended themselves, right? And if they lose their job, which is very highly possibility, and my rule is don't bet against the Fed, right? If the Fed says it's going to cause a recession, they don't say it, but all the signals are there, they will do it. They're going to do it. So it's the most clear signal, right? So all from ZipSmart, all the metrics on unemployments, we're all showing them all going up. I mean, historic, it's just going up. National is going up. And that's going to affect the foreclosure market. And it's going to bring more and more houses on the market. I don't see, to answer your question directly, I don't see numbers in the millions. I see numbers in the maybe 300,000-400,000 levels. Okay. But that's significant when there's a hollow demand underneath the prices at this point. So yeah. It's surprising and it's alarming.
Arvin, you made a good point. And before we go any further and look at this data, because I want to show you, how things are being so propped up. And that I'm not bringing anything to your attention. I mean, that's one of the reasons why you're diving into data. But you just said something that was really critical, because I feel that our industry has to take some responsibility. The real estate industry, the leadership in the industry, the National Association of Realtors. I mean, there has to be some responsibility taken on the pressure that we have added to the buyer over the last couple of years. It's been unprecedented. Now, imagine for a minute, all right? We put ourselves into the buyer's shoes, a buyer who is not a licensed real estate agent. Now, when you're buying for investment purposes and you have a license, you can sit down and knock out 10 offers in nobody's business in a couple hours in the evening, sitting back, having a glass of wine with your feet kicked up, right?
Yep.
You understand the business, but for a buyer, it is a traumatic, anxious moment in their life that they are actually putting in an offer on a house. They are patiently waiting. But the bigger part is they are completely at the mercy of their real estate agent to advise them, to guide them, to direct them. Now, here's the thing. If you say to your agent, they're embarrassed, they're scared, they're nervous, they're frustrated, and then all of a sudden the agent's like, well, I'm not going to write that offer for you because that's stupid. You're never going to get it. Or, hey, look, they're not like you and me that can sit back and write 10 offers and ship them out and hope that one of them sticks. Because at the end of the day, the agent doesn't make any money if they don't sell a property. And so the pressure has been so great on these people to not let their agent down, not waste their agent's time because they're afraid the agent's going to get mad at them. And all the while, they've been really just fed to the frenzy.
Todd, you nailed it. It's exactly the reason why I created ZipSmart. Because agents, I'm an agent, okay? And I know the agent community, and I'm proud to be an agent. I love being an agent. I think it's an amazing job, and there's a lot of good agents. But the competition in the agents world is so high, right? It's so competitive that a ton of agents will never tell their clients, this is a bad house to buy. This is a bad time to buy. Or this is a good time to sell. Or because it's just, if they don't get that house under contract, they're going to lose it to another agent, right? And the funny thing is that
they're not going to make money.
They're not going to make money. And it's so competitive. Most agents don't make any money, right? But a lot of agents don't make any money. And that's another misconception that, they show off as if they have nice cars and everything. But in reality, 90% of them are not making any money and they're super desperate. And you never want someone to represent you from a desperate point of view, right? Or state. But the problem is when you look at all the other industries, Todd, you look at, you want to go buy a car. There's Carfax, right? You want to go do a construction bid. There's a third party who will monitor your contractor. You go to a restaurant. There's Michelin star, right? They rate the restaurants for you. There's all these third party elements that really help the people in one industry to make a decision. When I created ZipSmart.ai, and I don't want to make this an info commercial because I don't want to even bring it up in this anymore, but it was based on this fact that there is no third party, Todd, that would really look after the customer, right? The real estate agent doesn't look after the customer. I would say they normally do. Once they get into contract, they would do a good job with inspections and everything. But prior to that point that it's kind of, they might not make money, it's just kind of like they're pushing you to buy or sell, right? That's the normal, and I think everyone would agree with that. That's why I really thought a third-party system, which is unbiased, is not making money off selling leads to real estate agents or other people, could be a source for people to go and get information and educate themselves. So I think you nailed it with what's happening with the real estate industry, and I'm so glad there's quite a few people like you and some of the people you've had on your show, which I watch all the time, that come and speak the truth, and I have utmost respect for them.
I appreciate that. Let's go back to this chart for a minute before we go on to find out what's happening in California, because I'm really curious as to why everybody's leaving your state. And I tell you, a lot of people don't want Californians in their state, and I'm not saying that for myself, but I hear it, right? But anyway, let's take a look. Keeping on with this narrative of the foreclosure starts, and this is despite the government's bailouts, despite the fact that Joe Biden in July of 2021 initiated the American Rescue Act that gave states the power to give, in Maryland here, $50,000 per household to continually pay for, their housing costs if they're struggling, years later with the COVID pandemic fallout. And, then the FHA and VA are, recasting to 40-year mortgages and doing all kinds of fancy footwork and trying to manipulate the numbers, taking out principal balances and dumping them on the back end and interest-free loans and all kinds of stuff. That's still not enough, because people eventually we're going to get to the end of the can, kicking the can down the road to where it's not even a can anymore. And they're going to have to decide, do they continue with bailouts? Because the COVID bailout stuff is ending in November. But anyway, when we look at this foreclosure starts, we can see that that's picked up as well, almost at pre-pandemic levels. But the big thing that I want to cruise down and look at here, among 223 metropolitan statistical areas analyzed in this report, with the greatest number of foreclosure starts in Q3 of 2023 were New York, Chicago, Illinois, Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, California, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the highest foreclosure rates here in New Jersey, South Carolina, and Delaware. And the bank repos, the actual REOs, real estate owned, where the bank or the lender takes back that asset. At this point, maybe the old owners, the borrowers are still in the house that need to be evicted. But anyway, we can see that the completed foreclosures is really, really low. But I want to cruise down here because I want to look at something here that's kind of staggering. States with the longest average foreclosure. Hang on, guys. Hold on, folks. Grab the sides of your seat. Hold on. Make sure you have your hat. Don't put your coffee cup down, because this may cause you to spill your coffee all over yourself. States with the longest average foreclosure timelines for homes foreclosed in Q3 2023 were Louisiana, 3,045 days. Hawaii, 2,498 days. New York, 1,941. You get what I'm saying here? How about that? States with the shortest average foreclosure timelines are Texas, 160 days. You're in Texas, Californians. Wow. If you're moving to Texas, you better hope you pay cash, because if you don't pay your mortgage in Texas, they're going to kick you out in 160 days. Montana, 169 days. Wyoming, 177. Missouri, 211. Michigan, 213. So let me ask you, and guys, pick your coffee cups back up. Let me ask you something. Why does it take so long to foreclose on somebody?
I think these are legislative that have been passed, and you can kind of see where I think it's pretty much in line with what the tenant laws are. It's kind of similar. You can see like California, the blue states and the red states have completely different numbers here. I mean, I think there's certain cases should be certain cases should be acceptable if there's like death in the family, if the household provider has something has happened ill. There should be legitimate excuses to protect people. But for people who are, let's say, for vacation home rentals, right, for second home markets, there shouldn't be. If you messed up, if you bought a second home property that is as an investment, I don't think it should hold the same value or timeline for foreclosure as it is for your primary
You think it should take 10 years to foreclose on a house?
No. I think that's ridiculously high. I mean, some of them it looks like it is. I mean, was it 3,000 days? That's like, what, 5 years? It takes 5-6 years to foreclose on a property.
I have a friend of mine. Yeah, check this out. So here we go with this chart right here. This happens to be, like how many because the next question would be, first of all, I have a friend of mine that he was in his house for 10 years in 2008. It took him to get him out. And then they gave him $25,000 cash for keys. Just blows me away. Craziness. Wow. But anyway, so let's just, people say that foreclosures are kind of low. But I want to just say that nationwide in September of 2023, 1 in every 3,706 properties had a foreclosure filing. Guys, if you think that's good, if you think about how many are in a neighborhood, right? I mean, that's pretty high considering all of the bailouts, all of the workarounds, forbearance programs, things like that. But anyway, let's just kind of cruise down through here. I'm going to put this, guys, in the show notes so that you can see it for yourself. But basically, if you go ahead and visit this chart, you can see per state how many foreclosure filings are in each state, and then what's the foreclosure rate of household units in a specific state. But anyway, Arvin, I want to talk about California. Can we do that?
Sure. Yep. Let's get into California. I've lived in the North Bay Area, San Francisco. I went to high school there, and I've spent a good amount of time in Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. So I know the state, and I went to university in San Luis Obispo, which is the Central Coast. So I'm all California.
Buddy, I tell you what, I know people that live in California, and I love them, man, and I appreciate you. But I got to say, man, I hope you keep all this stuff in California.
We will. I mean, I can tell you 90% of my clients...
Don't be bringing your policies over here to the East Coast.
Look, I think you would be surprised how Californians will vote in the local governments because Californians are fed up. I can tell you, a lot of people are fed up in California. I think we definitely still tend to be on the more liberal side of things all around, but the conversations I'm having with my clients, Todd, is they just had it. A lot of people have just had it, and they're switching parties. They are. I've heard this from multiple people that they're saying they will vote Republican on the local level. A ton of people, right? Because the social issues are not there, but crime is rampant. And people want a strong leadership. They want strong leadership to come in and clean up the state on the cities, counties, and state level. So I would say the attitude has changed in California in the last 4 years, for sure.
When you look at this Los Angeles Times article, it says the California conundrum: few people, more homes, but acute housing shortage. A couple things. So, the article goes on to say that given the laws of supply and demand, one might think fewer people and more homes would equal lower prices. California housing costs remain stubbornly high. Do you think, Arvin, who's buying the houses? Is it foreign investors that are buying up the real estate? I mean, when you think about, I was doing some research this morning, and I was looking at California, and $750,000 doesn't buy you very much. In fact, it may buy you a piece of land. So if you go on and you search, up to $750,000 or whatever, a lot of them are just lots, and they're terrible lots, right? Who's buying if you have some of the lowest, and this is a fact, you have some of the nation's lowest home ownership.
Yeah. The
nation's lowest home ownership.
Yeah.
But yet the real estate prices are outrageous. Is it foreign investors?
No, extreme limitations on supply and geographical problems. For example, like we can talk about Bay Area, right? Bay Area is an interesting market. It's the peninsula is so narrow, like 70% of it is preserved land for. When you drive up 280 on the left side by Woodside, you can drive up and see, just acres of just green mountainous land that is protected. So you can't build anything there. So it's just everything is pushed out to the limit. And it's the fact that there's a bay on one side, ocean on the other side, it limits the supply of how many people can be there. And then you have an economy that hires a ton of smart people coming in. Los Angeles is also kind of the same thing. It's so built out that original within the Santa Monica mountains, it's completely built out. Then we have such bad traffic, right, that the regulations have gone into building restricting height limits on the buildings, right, and capacity and square footage on buildings. So you can only build like 30-40% to the lot, right? And that really limits of how much people can, there's a lot more people who want to come to California, and that pushes up the prices higher. But you answer your question, who is buying is Todd, the people who were impatient, okay? Because the deals I look at every single deal that comes on the market in about 30 neighborhoods in LA, every deal that comes on the market, every deal that gets a price reduction, every deal that sells, right? And I look at through the photos every single day. It's part of my ritual I do every day. And I can tell you, people are not getting deals. These people who are buying, right, they're paying market value. They've been impatient.
But who can afford it?
It's just really wealthy people, to your question. And that's why this is fake. This is fake demand. Very wealthy people who could, buying a house for their kid, buying a house for their, secondary home, people who are downsizing from a bigger house to a smaller house. But that's going to stop. As the rate at this level of rate, I'm telling you, real estate moves really slowly. And most people don't have.
But it would have to be chopped in a quarter. I mean, is it going to have a 75% price decline in California? Because what I see from what you're telling me and what I've noticed is you're either a multimillionaire that can afford to buy a multi-million-dollar house, or you're living in your car, or worse yet, in a tent on the street, or worse yet, without a tent on the street. You have the highest homeless population, I think, of anywhere in the United States, and the highest working homeless population. And these policies that you guys have in play, they're terrible.
Yeah. To answer your question, there's a lot of millionaires. Everyone pretty much in the 30 neighborhoods I check is a millionaire, because their home prices have made them millionaires, right? So over the past 10, 15 years, I would say probably there's like maybe the population of Los Angeles, like 8 million people, maybe 3-4 million are millionaires, right? There's a ton of millionaires, and they've bought properties, and a lot of people own multiple properties. I personally own multiple properties. A lot of my clients own multiple properties. And
to rent?
To rent, to purchase and rent. Like a lot of my clients, like personally, I have a rule for myself that when I buy a house, I won't sell it. I'll just buy another house when I'm upgrading. My rule Arvin, is I sell real estate, but I don't sell real estate.
But you're a smart guy, man. You're a smart guy. I want to advance ahead because I have a couple other slides here, but I want to advance ahead because, look, you're a smart guy. If I were to sit down and say, I'm going to invest or I'm going to start a business, California is probably the last place in the world I would ever do it, right? And I want to look at this. All right, here we go. Tenant power toolkit. Are you facing eviction? Number one, LA has been awful for landlords. Right?
I'm evicting someone right now, Todd. I'm literally evicting one of my tenants right now. And I'm literally.
Well, you better be careful.
Yep. It's not
you better
fun.
be careful because here, all right, there's two things. Number one, they've unionized tenants. They've weaponized tenants against their landlords in California. Why in the world, why in the name of the Lord God would you put a freaking, investment property into the hands of somebody that's going to be unionized against you as an investor, number one, and it's a multi-million-dollar parcel too that could be completely destroyed. Right. So if we look at this tenant power, are you facing eviction or rent debt in California? We're in this together. This is how it works. They're giving classes. Now, you're either one or two, right? I've been served eviction papers in California and I want to fight my eviction. Rah! Only if you have already received a summons and a complaint, unlawful detainer. By the way, an unlawful detainer here in Maryland means you don't even have a lease. You're a squatter, all right? The other side of it, I owe my landlord back rent debt and I want to understand my situation. Get some legal help. I owe my landlord back rent. You want legal help? You got it.
It's like legalized stealing, you know? They call
Why do you want to invest in it?
Professional. I would personally, to be clear, Todd, I will not buy an investment property in California. The reason I've come across, multiple properties in Los Angeles is because I bought them for my primary residence. And I think it's a house hack early in your life for younger folks, which I highly recommend, because if you purchase a house, if you work really hard, first of all, you need to make a lot of money because otherwise, it's not going to apply. But if you're a hardworking person, you buy a single family home and you get it, whatever, at the time used to be really good. You get 2.5% mortgage on it, right? You live on it. When you move out, because your mortgage low is so low and you bought it as a primary residence, it will cash flow if you rent it, right? And then you buy a second one, right? And now you buy a third one. So you can use the single family loan system to make a profit and have a cash flowing single family home. And since I'm in the real estate industry, I'm buying these that later on I'm going to convert. I'm going to remodel and flip them and sell them. So I'm creating a portfolio that, 5-6 years from now would flip and sell for a profit. But to your point, it is literally the worst place to do a real estate investment. I personally would want to step it up from buying a single family homes and buy commercial buildings. And the only reason I haven't is I want to create a good chunk of money where I can go out of state, right? Somewhere like Texas, somewhere like, North Carolina, somewhere like Florida, to buy a commercial property, maybe a triple net, maybe a commercial building. I think you can if you can find good office deals right now, long-term in growth markets would be really, really good. You can get a huge discount and jump ahead. But to your point, it's a crap state. It's a really crap state to invest in. And I don't blame you or anyone I tell my own clients, don't purchase in California if you're looking for investment property.
Yeah, I mean, look, I know I don't hate California, man. It may sound like I do, but I don't. I love California. I think that San Diego is one of the most beautiful places on earth, perfect weather, yada yada. Yeah. It's just the policy. We're so screwed up, man, in this country. It doesn't even make sense. And guys, I'm not trying to be political here. I don't care who you are or who you voted for. It doesn't matter. If you're, people want to say, well, I bring politics on my show. I don't care who you voted for. If you're happy with the way things are right now, I mean, I don't know. God bless you.
Todd, there's certain metrics that is just being an American, right? It's not being left or right? It's security. I have kids. You have kids. For your kids to feel safe. This is not a Republican issue. It's the basic requirement of a government. You have to provide that for me. If I'm paying taxes, it doesn't matter at what rate. Provide that for me, right? So we're arguing over the very fundamental.
I think it matters what rate.
but at least it's got to a point where the government is in California is skipping the beat on what they're supposed to do. This is minimum requirements, right?
Yeah.
Asphalt the streets. Look at our roads. Look at our infrastructure. We're starting to look really bad, right? It doesn't look fresh, new, or any of that. So. I think these minimum things have to be met before we start talking about social issues and other stuff, and they're not being met in California. And I completely agree. And I think you would be surprised that in the next local elections, I think we will see a lot of movement to the center, to the right in politics. And I think most Californians would want that on the local level. I think it's healthy for the economy. It would stop the exodus of the state. We need to lower regulations to encourage growth, and hopefully it will happen.
You've lost almost 1 million people.
Yeah.
Arvin, almost 1 million people. Let's take a look at this. I want to show everybody this one website. And again, guys, I'll drop all these links for you to check them out because I'm not making it up. It's right here in front of you. This is... Oh my gosh, man. You can't make this up. This is I said loss, not lost. Los Angeles Tenants Union. who we are. The LA Tenants Union is an autonomous housing movement funded completely by its members. For unemployed members, that amount is just $1 per month. Employed members pay monthly dues of $5 per month. LA Tenants Union has local chapters across the city. Locals organize around neighborhood issues to help link neighborhood struggles to the larger movement for tenant power and housing justice.
Tenant power, what does that mean? Tenant powers mean to get into a house and then stop paying rent, and then you get legal protection? Like, that's stealing. That is stealing. Like, why would you, like, I'm evicting a tenant right now. My family depends on that income, right? We've counted that in. And it's having a complete negative effect. I haven't collected rent for 6 months, right? And God knows how many more months I'm going to go in without collecting it. Good luck to me getting it, right?
How much is the rent?
Oh, this is luxury property. It's about $14,000 a month. Yeah.
All right. Look, man.
So it's,
here's the thing. I think that investing in residential rental ship has sailed. Okay, over the last couple of years, it has been very clear that for mom and pop investors, and that includes you, Arvin, not corporate Wall Street, because they have the ability. They're not playing with their own money. They're playing with a lot of other people's money because they got investors, right, that are putting their money in, and these operators are making their money somehow, whether it's, property management or some other way to kind of capitalize on the market. But, man, look, it's not just happening in California. It's happening everywhere. In Maryland, we just passed laws that tenants are entitled to attorney representation, and who's going to pay for that? And I get it. There are some bad landlords. There's slumlords out there that shouldn't have properties. But I don't believe that's the exception, not the rule. But I'm seeing that investors are exiting, and a lot of people are happy about it because they want that inventory to hit the market so that people can own it. But anyway, brother, look, man, I appreciate you. Let's go ahead and give everybody some final pieces of advice. And then I want to, just kind of, show what's happening, some things that, I discovered this morning. Just real quick, we'll pull it up. Guys, prices are coming down across the country. We are seeing it. It may not be at the rate that you would like, but we are far better off for buyers than we were just 2 years ago. But the, couple 7 active cities here, Boise, Idaho. I want to just go over how many have reduced their prices and how many are on the market. Of all the actives, Boise, Idaho, 32% have had price reductions at least once. 38% of them have been on the market for more than 30 days. Austin, Texas, 36% price reductions, 42% over 30 days. Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, 30% price reductions, have had price reductions, 41% more than 30 days on the market. Phoenix, Arizona, 32% reduced, 53% more than 30 days. Sarasota, Florida, 26% reduced, 44% over 30 days. Here next to me, Washington, D.C., 25% price reductions. And these aren't price reductions. These are 25% of the properties have been reduced, at least one price reduction, 41% over 30 days. And in your neck of the woods, Arvin, 16% in L.A. have had price reductions, and 35% of them have been sitting on the market more than 30 days. Now, guys, this is up to $700,000 in price range. And the reason why I show you that is because that's the really, even the outskirt of what is considered affordable housing, depending on what state you're living in. But I didn't do multi-million-dollar houses because one would say that every luxury home is overpriced.
Well, the metrics on those are even way worse than these. So this is the way worse, because look, the lower the price point, less pressure from the interest rates, right? So and pretty much all these markets, I can guarantee you, the high end market is doing worse than this.
So Arvin, what do you see, man? You think we're going to continue to see price reductions?
Yeah. Oh yeah. This winter is really the start, right? Look, the big question, Todd, is when this is all said and done, right? how much the economy is going to get damaged, right, through the high rates and the recession that Fed is trying to force when the rates drop, right? Some people have this assumption that if the rates come down, the property prices will shoot up. It's a possibility. I'm not denying it, but it depends how much damage has been done to the economy, how much unemployment we have. People without jobs, they can't qualify for a loan, and unemployment is such a huge factor to the housing market because it affects both sides of the curve, supply and demand. You go from supply, right? From demand, let's start. That person without a job, you're not going to qualify for a loan, period. So a person who could have bought a second home, who could have upgraded, just dropped off the demand chart, right? The same person now is under pressure and can't even make the payments on their home, could put their house on the market. So it's a very strong element, and the Fed openly talks about pushing down employment rate. They're not hiding the fact. They're very open and adamant about it. And what's going to happen is how much pressure, how much damage the economy has suffered, how much labor market has been damaged by the time the Fed says, okay, enough, let's turn off the rate. And there is a possibility now that we're going to have the rates continue to stay high for longer, because if, let's say, unemployment rate, let's say inflation comes back to the Fed's mandate at 2%, right? And we're going to continue seeing the economy still strong. Let's say that this is one scenario that could happen. Then the Fed would say, I'm not going to lower the rates, because why would, if I have the rates at 5.5% federal rates and mortgage rates at 8%, steady inflation at 2%. If I lower it, it's going to shoot back up. So I'm going to keep it. And the longer the Fed keeps these prices, the mortgage rates higher or the interest rate higher, the real estate prices are just going to continue to come down. It's going to be a slowdown, but each market is different. Again, I think you should really look at local markets, right? And that's why our dashboard ZipSmart provides that at the local level. But if we're generally speaking, it's about how much damage it's going to suffer and how how the economy, how much households will be able to withstand this pressure from the government. I personally think in LA, for example, we're seeing this off the mark, starting with the luxury properties. In Malibu, days on the market is almost 90 days now. Beverly Hills is at 69. All the expensive areas it's taking a lot longer to sell. And that's just going to resonate down everywhere. For the longer the rates stay higher, we're going to see the prices slowly come down. And I just think that people are going to find a hollow space between where the prices are right now, since all the people who were very impatient already purchased in this last year, and the space below, we're going to see big jumps. So prices coming down faster because we're going to be in a thinner market, right? Maybe 10 homes in Beverly Hills will dictate the prices, where typically there will be 30 homes or 50 homes that would dictate the prices, right? When we have thinner data, you have thinner properties, the jumps are become more severe. And there's certain people who's going to have to sell their properties. People are getting divorced. People who have died, their state is selling them. Those people want to liquidate. They have to liquidate. So they're going to go at the market value. And you're going to see these big jumps. Oh my God, that property sold for that much. And personally, right now, I'm going after exactly those properties. And if you're listening to this and you see where I am advising my clients, 2 days ago, we put a $7.5 million offer on a $12.5 million property, right? We are coming at them. We're going after properties. The houses that I think will be under the most pressure as developers, right? People who house flipped and bought and or have multiple properties on the market. I'll promise you, they're willing to let go of one of them, right, to save the other ones. You just have to find the developer, and you just have to try, and you will find those deals. And a lot of these developers don't lower the prices on the market, but behind the scene, they're panicking and they have to sell. That's one strategy that you should employ. Another strategy that you can employ is look at the secondary markets, right? Vacation home rentals in Los Angeles. I'm looking at Palm Springs. I'm looking at Lake Arrowhead, Ojai, all these secondary markets who ton of speculators went there and did Airbnbs. I think the beauty of this crash, if you can call it that, is for the first time, you're going to be able to go buy an amazing property, a brand new construction, or a beautiful Airbnb property whose the previous owner have worked so hard to build that out. You can go after that and buy that house below replacement cost, right? You just have to find a person, and it goes by trying. So find a real estate agent in your neighborhood who has the same mindset. Explain to them what you want to do. Say, I want to write 10 offers every month, and find that property. Show a little bit of flexibility in your approach of what you want, and you will find great deals, and you will set yourself for the next cycle. Because I think Todd and I, both of us are bulls, real estate bulls in the long term. We've both probably made our fortunes from real estate, and will continue to do so. So it's important to don't listen to what people are telling you, the other agents are telling you. Focus on what you want, target what you want to buy, and try. And I told you guys, 10 offers I write, 3 escrows I get, 1 house I buy. That's my rule. So if you apply that, I think you will have a lot of success getting really, really good deals, even in bull markets or down markets. Doesn't matter.
All right, man. Well, we appreciate that, Arvin. That's great advice. We appreciate your time. Guys, all of Arvin's information, as I had said, is in the show notes.
Todd, thank you so much for having me. I've been following your channel for some time, man. It's a pleasure. It's an honor to be here. And thanks for not going with the mainstream of providing, lip service to everyone, what they want to hear, and speaking your truth. It's an unpopular thing to do. And it takes a lot of, guts to do something like this. So I appreciate you doing that for a long time now.
I appreciate you, man. You too.
Thank you, guys.
Talk to you soon. Okay.
Bye.
All right, guys. So if you made it this far, congratulations. I hope you liked the video. If you did, you can smash that thumbs up. It'll let Arvin and I know that you did. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider doing so now. Share us with your friends if you want to keep them informed on everything real estate. Drop your comments below, and I'll see you next time.
Sachs Realty, Maryland broker number 607720, office number 443-318-4514, equal housing opportunity.